Yo, dog, Kenny Boucher here, Next Level Painting, hitting you up on the literal best of all days, coming to you from the Beat Slab in Colorado Springs, courtesy of my best friend Mike Haspel. If you guys didn't know, we've evacuated Los Angeles, Hollywood. So we kind of accelerated our vacation plans, but I'm not on vacation yet. I actually don't officially take my break until next week, so we're still trying to provide content, even though we've been on the road and we evacuated. I want to give you guys a quick update. We did break down on our journey out here. We were held up in Beaver, Utah for a day. We were able to actually stream from the hotel to keep that content train rolling. We made it to Colorado a few days ago, and then migrated down to the Haspel Beats Lab. We streamed on Twitch again, and here I am trying to produce a quick little video for you guys here on Patreon. I do apologize for any delays in our content. I try to do my best. If I can work, I will work. That's basically my policy. Another update, Patreon has rolled back their new fees that they were trying to force down our patrons' throats. So that's good news. I'm super happy that they're not going to be charging you guys for supporting me. We are going to be doing a quick little video, OSL by hand on Professor Swolstein from Twitch. The only reason this intro is so long-winded is because I was on the road and all these things happened. I wanted you guys to know we're safe. We made it to Colorado. Our apartment looks to be fine. The fire is mostly contained in that region, but it did get about 7 miles away from our house in Hollywood, so that was kind of scary. If you guys can give me a quick second to shout out a couple of clutch individuals on Patreon, this might be the last video shout out of the year, so I want to get it right. Yo, real quick, David, Sean, Jonathan, Brian, Ohal, Jeremy, Mateus, William, Drive Through, Review, Dylan, Bob, Wayne, Kat, Alex, Justin, Robert, Arizio, Luke, Garrett, Michael, and William. Thank you guys so much. You came in clutch. This has been a good year on Patreon. We've made some moves. We've actually made some financial freedoms in order to allow us to actually have a few days off so that we can basically bring more quality. So that's basically the goal for 2018. How to take some of this free time that I opened up and innovate with it. Create better content, more tutorials. I want to be creating more of these quick guide tutorials that we worked on earlier this year. I want to get some more shorter, concise videos that are just rapid fire out there for you guys. Maybe they don't even ever go to YouTube because, fuck YouTube. If you're watching this on YouTube, I'm sorry. But damn, it's hot garbage up in here. Anyway, guys, let's do it. All right, let's do this thing, guys. We're going to break it down real quick. 3 primary colors here. Mephiston red, Wild Rider, orange, and of course Flash gets yellow. Now these aren't primary colors, these are our primary colors we're using. So I'm gonna pull out a little ghetto wet palette right here. We're gonna thin down our Mephiston red with a nice sable hair brush. Get it real thin, we're gonna glaze it in, and I'm gonna show you what we're doing here. How this is just a quick little way to accent a model. This is Professor Swolstein from Chronic X. They have a new Kickstarter coming out on December 18th. You're not going to want to miss them. We've been painting this guy live on Twitch. He's smoking a cigarette military grip style, containing the light source within his hand. So we're going to start by subtly glazing in this Mephiston red over his palm, all up in there. It's super thin, dirty paint water thin. Once we get a good coat established, we're going to let it dry. Give it a second. Wow. Do it again. Reinforce it. This is the furthest light cast from the source. We're going to keep it kind of subtle here. We just want it all to be contained within his hand, so now we have a nice little tint of red in there. Looking pretty solid, feeling that. We're going to whip out the old wet palette again. We're going to pull some of that Wild Rider orange out, thin it down the same way, dirty paint water style, get it real thin. You see, as I add water, how I'm dragging it around, and I have basically like 3 little piles of this orange if I need it for later. Same deal, we're going to just get it set up on our glove, and then we're going to apply it to the model, focusing more close to the cherry of that cigarette, casting the light outward from there, still staying inside of his hand instead of his military grip. Hell yeah. Feeling that. Same deal, you got to be patient here, get a nice little coat of it, establish the tint, let it dry for a second, and then you can upgrade to the next level, which is yellow. We're not going to really thin this down too much because we're going to try to start dotting the cherry on the cigarette and try to create the source of the light. So it's yellow at its hottest point, and then it's casting light outward, eventually to red inside of his hand. So you can already see exactly what we're going for now as soon as we dotted that cherry. We're going to add a little speck of white to try to reinforce it. We're kind of going freeform here, so this is more of a discovery process for me too. We're adding a couple little ripple highlights to his skin, where maybe some of that brighter light would be sticking to those folds inside of his thumb. We're just going to keep going back and forth here, making sure we get the brightest cherry we can. I'm trying not to do any movie magic here. I'm showing you my entire discovery process here instead of cutting it out, and it's just perfect. So, you know, we're going back and forth. Maybe we weren't so happy. These are a little too extreme, so we're gonna have to go back and subdue these, but you can see exactly what I'm trying to attain here, like where I want the light to fall, where I want these highlights to be. So, yet again, we're gonna dot that cherry, make it its brightest. And then we're going to go into the next stage here. We're going to introduce a little bit more Wild Rider Orange because I felt that was all a little too aggressive. So we're going to add a tiny bit of very thin orange, and it actually made it perfect now. We subdued it, we muted it back down, blended those layers together. We're going to let it dry, introduce a little red again, maybe inside some of the folds of skin, almost as a wash. But it's actually supposed to be imitating the darker light being cast like that. The further from the light source, the dimmer the light, and we're going with red for that. I'm not a light scientist. Don't quote me on this shit. So here's some black. I decided I want to cut a nice little ring around the cherry on the cigarette. Maybe where the charring would be, where the resin would be. Give me some more definition, and I like what I'm looking at here. It's making me feel a lot better about this little cigarette. I really wish it was a cigar, but you wouldn't hold a cigar like this. It'd be too big. All right, we're going to come back in, introduce a little bit more yellow to the dot, or actually a little bit orange to the dot, because we want to get that cherry to be orangey yellow. So we put a little orange on the cherry, and then we're going to bring a little bit of yellow back in on the cherry. Just a back and forth process. But since we're working so thin, we can go back and forth as long as you give it a second to dry. So this was a self-discovery process. How did we subtly glaze these on? We used just 3 colors that were predominant to the light source and a couple of add-on colors like black and white. Beherius, Professor Swolstein. Check it out, Chronic X. Check it out online.